In this tutorial, we're going to look at Adobe Photoshop Creative Cloud and the different tools and the basic interface that we see when we first open it. So I'm going to go to my Launchpad and I'm looking for Adobe Photoshop Creative Cloud 2018. That's the current version. And there we go. So this is the first thing you see when you open it on a Mac. You've got this desktop, which is still behind the image. This is a Mac way of doing things, and it's been like this since I think Photoshop version 4. So, or Creative Cloud 4, sorry. It takes a bit of getting used to, but it's got its advantages and disadvantages. But we're going to try and get used to working with this background. So, here's our Photoshop. We have a toolbar down here, which can be moved around. So I can grab it and move around there. We usually keep it there. It's got all different tools. That's the move tool. So we hover over and it gives us our tool and a bit of an explanation of it, really. See, a little video showing you how to use it, which is really great. Magic Lasso tool. So it's almost like tutorials that are built in. The Magic Wand tool. Tool, I won't go over all of them, etc., etc. Now, if you look carefully, you'll see little arrows, little tiny arrows, coloured in corners if you want, on each of these tools. That means there's more than one tool. So if I right-click, and I'll go right-click on Magic Wand here, there are two tools. Most probably, when you first open Photoshop, that's what you're going to see, the Quick Selection tool. That's the default. So all of these icons, or buttons, have more than one option. The other one that is most probably different will be the gradient tool is there under the paint bucket tool. So if you've got to find paint bucket for filling, you've got to look under there. So it's really handy. There's your eraser tool, different brushes and so on. That's something you can play around with. But this little video on how it's used is really good. So it's almost a tutorial in itself. So you can spend some time looking at the different tools and what they do. Over here is a lot of your different palettes that you want to use. Now, there are a lot of different workspaces. When we first open Photoshop, that's what comes up. It's the Essentials workspace. And that's pretty good. That'll cover most things. But my preference is to use the one that says photography. I want this one, the Navigator. It is a tool that we will use extensively in all our work. So have it set up there as photography. You can change. Halfway through a project, you might be doing some painting and you want access to these tools, so you might change to the painting one, then you might go back to the photography one. Choice is yours. But the layers, very important to us. Navigator is very handy. Along the top, we get all the options for each of the tools. So you can see I've got the paint bucket tool there, and there's a number of options. If I went to the crop tool, I've got a number of options. The lasso, the quick selection tools, and so on. I'm going to go back to Magic Wand there actually, because that's what I use most. So you can see all these different options that you've got here. Across the very top, we've got all our menus. So, how about Photoshop Creative Cloud? You're most probably not going to use this one very much at all, other than to quit. File, pretty similar to all software, new, open recent, but it's the same as Microsoft Word and most programs. Your edit menu, lots of different options, and the ones that are grayed out, of course, they're grayed out because I haven't got an image open. Image, so on. So what would be good later is that you sat down and had a look at all these different options and just have a quick flip through to see what's what. This one is what's visible in your window. You can see the navigator's clicked up there, the layers are clicked, and the adjustments. Well, see the three I've got clicked there. If I was to change that to libraries, so I click over here to libraries and go window, libraries is clicked rather than adjustments. And I can add extra ones in if I want to. I'm not going to fiddle with it too much. You can even make your own workspace, but we won't get into that. Now, to open an image, a couple of things you can do. You can quite simply find a photo. So I'm just going to find a photo. I've got this Photoshop tutorial here. I'm just going to open that. I'm just going to open a JPEG file. This microphone will do. So to open my photo, you see, look, I've clicked on the background and Photoshop appears to have disappeared. But it's not, because here it is, and it's got the black dot, so that tells me it's open. All I need to do is drag my image, sit it on top of Photoshop, and there it is. I've opened an image. As simple as that. You could go File, Open, or you could right-click on your image and choose Open with Photoshop, whichever version you're using. So I've got a couple of versions there. But that's how you open an image. So, open an image, have a look at the different tools, and just get familiar with what you can do in Photoshop and what's where in Photoshop.